Yo, what's up guys? We are back with another video today, and I am here to present my full card predictions for UFC Fight Night, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. I'm gonna be honest guys, I didn't realize this. This is a very early card, like very early. Like I didn't realize that you have to wake up at basically, I think it is 9 a.m. in the morning to watch the first fights in this card. It's alright, I mean, it's a good thing to wake up to, I suppose, but, that's besides the point. But enough about that. Let's just get to the first fight on this card. There isn't much to talk about. Alright, the first fight we have is Tahir Alibetov versus Jefferson Nascimento. I'm gonna go with Jefferson because when looking up some of these guys' background, you can tell that Jefferson has fought, I want to say, higher competition because he fought in LFA. LFA is an alright promotion, especially if you fight in the regional scene. I like that from him. I think that he'll win this by decision. It's kind of hard to say because both of these guys are making their debut, so, it's kind of hard to say. But I'm going to go with Jefferson by decision. I don't think he'll finish the dude, though, because he doesn't have many finishes on his resume. Alright, next up, we have a very exciting matchup right here. Bekizov Alamankov versus Gene Matsumoto. I'm really interested into this fight because both these guys are young, up-and-coming guys in this division. I'm very interested to see how they go. I could see Gene winning this fight because I want to say he's definitely done better so far in his career, but Bekzat has fought much higher level opponents. Fought Umar in his debut, and then fought Kanato, which is, it's alright win to get, but he did get in the first round, so that was good. Then lost to Topuria, his brother. Those are not two bad losses. Those are not bad losses at all, and he went competitive with Topuria, excuse me. But I think that he'll get this win. I do think it will be a tough fight. Like, Bekzov has always fought tough opponents. He's always fought tough opponents. I think that he will get this done, though. I think he'll get this by decision. Alright, next up we have Daniel Doncheko versus Theodore Barjan. I'm going to go with Doncheko by decision. I like him. He's an up-and-coming Ukrainian fighter. Very interesting. Also, I apologize for the logo on this. The Photoshop fucked it up. And there's not much I can really say. It's kind of hard to look at Doncheko's career because he's only had 2 fights so far, but he looks really good, especially at a young age. I would like him to get a finish, but I don't think so. I think he'll get it by decision. Alright, next up we have Khan Ulif versus Javier Reyes. Kai Ufli is one of the most overrated up-and-coming guys who's on a winning streak in this division. I saw someone say that, and I totally agree because I do remember watching his fight, and he got a very robbery win. He did not win that fight, in my opinion. I think that Javier Reyes, though, I don't think he's as good either, but I think that he's way better than Kali Ufli. I think Ufli is, in my opinion, one of the most overrated guys in this unranked division at featherweight. He's not good at all. I do think that Javier Reyes, he did get KO in his debut, so I'm going to go with round 2 TKO by Javier Reyes. I do think he has power on his side. Alright, next up we have Razbekitov versus Andrei Polivi. I'm going to pick Andrei by decision here. I really like this matchup for him, and I know it's going to be kind of, I wouldn't say a hot take, but I think that he's going to win this. There's a lot of underdogs in this fight, and I'm very interested in that. What I like about him is that he's a kickboxing range type of fighter who moves around a lot. And like if you're going to try and go forward with Andre, you're not going to do well with him because he's always moving around. Always lateral movement, always going around, and always keeping at range with his kickboxing. I really like that. Plus, he's got a good chin, in my opinion. If Gutierrez couldn't knock you out, then I'm sorry, Ruzibev is not going to do that. I do think that he will be a tough fight for Andre. I do think so, but I don't think that he'll win this fight. I'm going to go with decision by Andre. Alright, next up we have Rakizov versus Julius Walker. I feel bad for Julius Walker here, man, because he's getting fed to the lambs for an up-and-coming guy. I don't think that Yakuzov will finish him. I actually think what he'll instead do is what he did very similar to Kerutiber, where he rocked him very badly and then followed up by submission. I think he's going to do that as well. I think he's going to rock Julius Walker quite badly and then follow up by a submission of some kind in relatively the first round. I'd like Julius Walker to somehow fluke away in winning this, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to go with Yakutov by submission round 1. All right, next up we have Farman Saritov versus Eric Nolan. I'm very interested to see how a full camp Eric Nolan does, because if you remember, he took a 4 days notice against Sarikatov, Kamsat's training partner, and he did all right. He did very good in that fight. Obviously, he got finished, but I do think it's very interesting to see how he'll look in a full camp. I'm not too familiar with Farman. This is another guy who's making his debut. We have a lot of guys making debut on this card. What I like about Eric Nolan is that he's kind of crisp with his boxing, especially his hooks. I really like that about him. Do I think that he'll finish Farman? I'm not too sure. Again, this is a guy making his debut, so it's really hard to tell what he's going to look like at UFC level. But if I had to guess, I would say that Eric Nolan will get this by TKO in round 2, and that's what I'm just going to go with. Next up, we now move on to the main card. We have Abus Nurmagomedov versus Michel Oleksiejczuk. I want to pick Michel so badly. I want to pick him so badly in this fight. I really, really, really do, but I don't think that he's going to win this. Unless Michel shows the dog in him. If he shows like legit dog levels in this fight, I think that Abus will somehow just give up with his gas and he'll quit. It's kind of hard for me to say, but I don't want to say Abus is a quitter, but he kind of just like crumbles quite easily when he's faced with somebody that's not falling under his pressure. When Abus has somebody on his pressure, he does very good. He's very good at that. When somebody resists, like Joe Pyfer or Sean Strickland, he tends to crumble really badly. As well as, I just think his cardio is quite iffy. He went to a decision, though, in a 3-rounder against Michel Pereira, but that's not really too telling for me. I don't think so, like, not at all. I want to pick Michel so badly, but I think that Abus will show him. I think that Abus will win this. I think that, the amount of losses that Michel has had in his career is kind of hard to tell. Plus, like, Abus, the guys he's losing to are, like, top-level guys. Kyle Barajo, Sean Strickland, and now Joe Pyfer. I think that Abus, I'm going to say that he's going to get this done by decision. I don't think, though, he will. I think that he will set enough of his motion, but Michel will be able to make a comeback going into that 3rd round. All right, next we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. I really, really like this matchup. I could see Bruno Ferreira somehow fluking a KO here, because I do think Ikram Aliskerov is the more well-rounded fighter overall, in my opinion. He's got way better striking, in my opinion, but Bruno Ferreira has the KO power that gives him the advantage, and I would say Ikram, I wouldn't say he's got an alright chin. Both of these guys got an alright chin, but because of the power that both of them have, it could be very simple of a round 1 finish. I think Ikram will have a more likely chance, not because he has the better power than Bruno, but because he's a better striker than Bruno is. And I think he'll get it done in the 2nd round. That's what I'm going to go with. Next up, we have Asu Amatabeyev versus Charles Johnson. My heart wants to say Charles Johnson because this fight just screams like just an upset. Look what he did to Lunar Caveat and Joshua Van. But I don't think it's going to happen, because one thing that Charles Johnson is not good at is when somebody mixes in the wrestling. You look at Bruno Silva, you look at Tamirov, you look at any other guy that mixes in wrestling, he tends to struggle a lot more. But if it's a striking on striking, Charles Johnson, if Asu does not mix in the wrestling, which he does, look how he comfortably used his wrestling against Alex Perez, then Charles Johnson will have light days with him. But I think Asu is very intelligent, and I think that he will mix in the wrestling to make Charles Johnson feel uncomfortable and not get his striking going. And I think that Asu will get this by decision. All right, next up we have Nazim Salikov versus Matthews Kemilu. I really hope Nazim wins this. I really like this guy. Very exciting fighter. Always has fun fights, man. I think that he will get this done. The Zahim loss looked really bad on him. Not because the guy he lost to, but the performance he had. He got virtually dominated in that fight. Virtually. And I thought that was going to be a close fight. But no, he got dominated. I think that Nazim will do good. I think he'll have a tough fight going into this. But I don't think that, even though I think that this will be a tough fight for Nazim, I think though he will get it done. I think it'll be an exciting round 2 TKO. I think that these two will go scrapping with each other. Alright, next up we move on to the co-main, Shara Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. I'm going with Shara by decision. Do I think he could potentially finish Michael Pereira? Of course, I do think he could do that, but look what he did to Armin Petrosyan. I don't think so. That performance he had against Barrito was not good in my opinion. Not good at all. I don't think it was a great performance at all. And look, he did dominate him throughout the majority of that fight up until he got rocked. And maybe Pereira could do something like that. Maybe, especially if he comes out like he used to when he was so explosive in that first round. He was all crazy. But the last couple fights, he's not been doing that. Ever since, I want to say, the Hernandez fight, he's not been like that at all. I think that Shara will just use his range and his kicking to keep at reach and like be able to like tip and tap with him to a decision. That's what I think. I think he'll win every round by just keeping at range, going with the jab, going with the front kick, going with the spinning, and stuff like that, just to keep him at a range where he can win by decision. Finally, we move on to the main event, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. I've been very iffy on this fight, and the betting odds are very similar. Like, I could say Rafael Fiziev could use his kicking range to keep Torres at range, but Torres isn't like an elite level striker like Rufi and Bahamondes. He's gonna try and brawl with you like Gaethje did. He's gonna try and like not try to be crazy. He's gonna go forward to you. He's got the power as well. And what happened with Rafael Fiziev a couple months where he got knocked out by Rufi, it's not a good look. But I can see Fiziev win this. I can so easily see him winning this. One thing that really worries me is like Fiziev's cardio. If his cardio was really good, if he didn't get gassed out by the third and the second, I actually would genuinely pick Fiziev, but because his cardio is iffy in my opinion, I don't think he's going to do good. I don't think so. I think in the first round he'll do good. I think he'll do good with his kicking and all that stuff. But going into the second and third, I think that Torres will be able to use his power and the fact that he'll have better cardio and be able to finish Rafael Fiziev. And look, again, Fiziev can beat Torres. Like, this is a very close fight in my opinion. I also don't know why Fiziev is still staying at lightweight. He's very small for this division. If you looked at the weigh-ins of his previous fights, you can tell that he does not cut much weight at all. I would very much like him to just go down to featherweight after this fight. Apparently, I'm not too sure if this is true, but apparently the reason he doesn't go down to featherweight is because he's got dense bones. I'm not too sure how true that is, so anybody in the comments can fact check me, but that's what I heard. But guys, that's me giving my full card predictions for UFC Fight Night, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. Let me know what you guys think about these predictions. Do you agree with them? Do you not? Just give me your honest thoughts, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!